David Eickholt and Eliot Clough here for HawkeyeInsider.com, part of the SwarmCast. Exciting announcement today. Eliot, finally full-time.
Yeah.
It's a year ago we said we wanted to make it happen. People who did not know, you were only part-time. You're doing a lot of stuff with the Prep Hoops and Prep Sports Network. I know you appreciate the opportunity there. But I got to tell you, man, it's been a pleasure. And the fact is that I love more than anything is the fact that it's exactly 1 year to the day of when you started with us that you flipped to full time.
Yeah. To make it happen. And, we did a podcast on this about a year ago too, is joining the network and joining 24/7. And I said it then is that you and I and Sean have been talking about this for a long time. And it finally came to fruition a year ago in terms of at least joining the network, and now to have it be full time, to be an employee of 24/7 Sports and CBS Sports is something that I've been wanting, and that I've wanted since the days of radio and hosting Corn Stalks and Sports Talk with you and Sean as guests over there. So it's just really gratifying to have it happen, as I'm getting married in about a year, and have some of that stability and all that too is also an added bonus. But man, I'm ready to give Hawkeye Insider everything. And it was a huge boost for us at this time and last year. And I'm hoping that it just continues and we just continue to ascend. And shout out Josh Harvey for believing in us and believing that we can continue to push the site forward. Had some intel drop this morning as well. And then more intel on football is coming later this week. So we're rolling, we're hitting the ground running, and we're not stopping. We're pushing forward, and we're happy to be the place to be for Iowa fans.
Yeah, it's crazy too. And again, credit to Josh. Josh was really pushing behind the scenes for a long time for us to get a third site member for us. So for it to happen, for Sean to stick with us, obviously I'm still here. And again, this is what people need to realize. It's not like they're not hiring Eliot to replace anything.
Nope.
Sean and I are still here. We're still pushing forward. A lot of exciting things. I think more refined things more than anything else probably coming in the near future. But like you said, it's more stability and it's more of a better lifestyle, and not the fact that in terms of we take our foot off the gas ever. But I'll tell you, man, between my first 2 or 3 years covering the site before Sean is even full-time to now, it's so nice to not be stressed every single second of every day, because we were still trying to make a name for ourselves. And now I can confidently say I feel we've put ourselves in a phenomenal position moving forward with all the sources we have, with the stories we write, and honestly for the way that we're going to be pushing content moving forward. I think it's going to be something that the Iowa market has not seen, and that's not a dig. That's not, don't take that out of context. It's just going to be a different avenue of content that we're going to be pushing. So again, Ellie, I got to give you credit, because it wouldn't have happened without your hard work though either. And you give yourself some credit for that too.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. I definitely relate to the stress part, even within the last year. But when I was at the other place, dog, oh my gosh, talk about stress. Just feeling like you're competing with anyone and everyone. But to be able to team up with you guys has been really good, and I'm really excited about where this thing is going to go. So,
and I told you too, when you were at the other place, it reminded me a lot of when I started with 24/7, because 24/7 may be a massive company. It may be the forefront of sports coverage in a lot of markets, if not all markets. It was not prominent in Iowa before myself and Sean really kind of took it to that next level. Again, that's not a dig at anybody in the past, but look statistically, the numbers and the traffic, it really wasn't something that was known in the state of Iowa. So the fact that we've been able to kind of build this up and do what we're doing, now it's only up moving forward too. I have so much confidence in what we're doing. So we felt it was important to address this. I think Eliot deserved some public, appreciation and congratulations for what he's been able to achieve. And it's not so much we're boosting ourselves up. We're just letting you know the changes that are being made, and a lot of fun stuff is going to come. Speaking of fun stuff, there's nothing I love more than hot takes. We know that. Everybody knows that. I am very excited for today's podcast, Eliot. I'll let you take the lead from here.
Yeah. So Dave and I were texting yesterday after we had a meeting with Sean and Josh about what we wanted to pod about today. I was like, Dave, it's been hot as balls. Like, let's roll with it. I don't know if I talked to you about this yet, but I've been, my dad came up this last weekend and we fixed some grading around my house to avoid getting water in the basement. And we did it before it got hot, but I've still been going outside and watering the lawn twice a day. And I do it in the morning and the evening, and it's still hot both times. And I mean, send the dog outside to go to the bathroom. He comes back and he's just panting like a madman. So, we thought we'd roll with the times. You can't avoid the heat, even when you're in the car listening with AC or doing stuff around the house here on SwarmCast. We wanted to do this. Is always fun to do in the off season. Ask people for their hot takes. So drop yours in the comments if you're listening on YouTube too. We're probably going to do something with fan hot takes. Yeah. Within the next week or next within the next
probably
week.
Post 4th of July.
Probably, yeah.
Post 4th.
Yeah. So
I don't think people want me to podcast at about 4 p.m. on July 4th. Nobody should want to hear a podcast about me that I'm in on the 4 p.m. on July 4th. I'll be a few Tiger Hawks deep probably on the lake. I'm not gonna lie to you.
And I will be the following week. I will be in Michigan with Rachel's family, so I will probably be in about the same state for about 5 days. So anyway, let's get to it, Dave. I'll start. How's that? I'll start. We each have 3.
I was going to say, I have 3. I have one kind of each level. I have a very hot take. I have kind of and I have one that I would say is a more mild take.
Okay. And I have one for each phase of the game. So we both did it kind of differently. Why don't you start with your mild take and I'll go after
that. DJ Venami will be a John Mackey Award finalist, and he'll have over 700 receiving yards in the season.
Okay. Now
I think that's mild. Like I'm so high on DJ Venami. I talked to Bud Eliot on Cover 3 podcast with the Iowa Summer School, and I'm going to tweet this out later, just a clip. And I'm crazy for saying this, and everybody will say that until you watch DJ Venami play. And I'm also banking on the fact that his progression continues at the rate it was. He's a mix of Sam Laporta and TJ Hawkinson to me.
The thing that I'm going to ask, that stat about a receiver not having more than 450 yards since, is it Amir Smith-Marset?
Correct.
That doesn't apply to tight ends, correct?
Correct. That was just solely wide receivers.
Okay. So was it Laporta that had that amount of stats since the last?
Laporta, I mean, DJ Venami, DJ was just short. If he played one more game, he probably would have. One more game, he 100% would have. Or if he started earlier in the year. Yeah. I believe Jacob Gill was the closest.
Okay.
420 something. And then it was like Keegan Johnson his freshman year at 360.
Who was the last tight end to have 700-ish yards? Was it Laporta?
Yeah, I might have to dig on that. I mean, otherwise I would say it was TJ.
Okay. So Iowa continues the tight end you. Now, if he has those type of numbers, does he leave for the NFL?
I don't think so.
No? Okay.
And here's why though. Yeah, okay. Sam Laporta had 726.
Okay.
No, gosh dang it. Hang on. I said college stats and gave me NFL stats.
Oh.
Just sorry. This is such a botched podcast.
It's all good.
I'm so bad. He had 657 his senior year.
Okay.
His junior year, he had 670.
Okay. So you don't.
It might have been TJ Hawkinson.
So you don't think that Venami, even if he puts up those numbers, he'll leave?
I think it will be a tough decision, and that was kind of my thing. I think it's going to be a legitimate NFL decision. But you talk to DJ, he is Iowa to the core, the corest of core. And with NIL, that gives Iowa a realistic shot at retaining him because you shell out money for a guy like that. 10 times out of 10, especially with how prominent tight end play is at Iowa. And remember this, he's got another 2 years after this year with the new 5-for-5 rule.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, And honestly, I mean, you got to think the same thing about like, Cade Peeper's going to have another NFL decision to make. Trevor Lauk with the new rules. Trevor Lauk has another year under his belt as well. So I do not envy Tyler Barnes for the money he's going to have to divvy up. There's going to be a lot of upset people in the coaching position, in the coaching rooms. I think DJ Venami, if he stays for another 2 seasons, could be known as one of the best that's ever played at Iowa. Like, he's got that kind of ceiling, Eliot. I continue to rewatch his film, what he did against Vanderbilt, what he did against Nebraska. Every game, it just seemed like he was coming up with a big catch. And I'll give credit to Kirk on this. He was the first one that pointed out DJ's blocking has no reason to be as good as it is at this stage in his career. And he's probably hyper focused on that this past offseason. So I'm really excited about what he can bring to the table. I think it's a more mild take considering how much Iowa gives him the ball. And I also am curious if the wide receivers live up to their potential, which again is not a top half unit. Okay, I'm not getting crazy here. But that's going to force defenses to go sideline to sideline. That's going to open up more opportunities for Venami. So does Iowa continue to feed him the ball even more than they have or not? So again, I think it's a mild one, but I get it. The numbers are staggering when you think about them in retrospect.
There's a couple other things to that is that Tim Lester just went on the A&F podcast and compared DJ Venami to Brock Bowers. So, and I went back and looked at some quotes in just to reference for an article that I wrote yesterday, 5 things I think about Iowa for our VIPs. And he said that they're working on different ways to get him the ball. And that was during the spring. So they'll have the spring and then the fall camp to do the same thing.
So you see a DJ Venami tight end pass.
What? Because he played quarterback, you mean? That would be something. That would be something.
It gives him the ball.
Touche. He did play quarterback at Kemper, like we said. He was a walk-on. The other thing, too, is you talk about the NFL decision. Maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't. If he were to decide to stick around Iowa, one of the reasons that would make sense is, this is a guy who was a walk-on and rewarded for what he did. It's that loyalty type of thing that you just don't get at every program. And the thing is, too, is that Iowa is also going to be honest with him. Be like, your NFL stock is really high. We don't want you to risk it. We're going to let you go. So what they want is the best for their players. And that seems to be pretty consistent. So it'll be interesting as to how the ball is spread around. I would probably, just because of the history, and granted, Laporta didn't have the greatest situation in terms of the offense.
And he has more help, including at running back.
Right. I'd probably put that as like a 5, and a half, just because of the history, and it's a new quarterback, right? Like if it was Gronowski, I'd be like, yeah.
Here's also why, even if it's a new quarterback, DJ Venami is going to be the safety net of whoever starts at Iowa.
Right. Probably the safety valve.
Yeah, and that's also why I'm and I also think about this again, 700 is a lot. I mean, we haven't seen it, right? We haven't not seen it. But Northern Illinois, he could have 250 yards in those 2 games alone. And at that point, you're thinking, does he have 450 yards across the other 10 games?
The other thing, too, with him is the yards after catch. Like, he's not a lumbering tight end that just happens to catch the ball after fake blocking. Like, we saw it against Vanderbilt, that shot. We saw it against Nebraska, that dig turned into a go route where he looped around Reese Vanderzee and caught it up the sideline.
Yep.
And we know that he can make tough catches. So that adds to the yardage. Whereas maybe a younger guy, even DJ had drops at the beginning of the season too. That would have been I don't know if you remember this, Iowa State. I really think it was just oh crap, I'm thrust into the limelight. This is the first time, just nerves. So you assume those things won't continue into his 3rd year on the field at Iowa. So I'd probably put it at just like a 5.5, just because I'm wary in the history. Maybe 5.5, 6, but that's where I'd go. So
all right, hit me with your first one. Let's go.
Should I stick with offense? Yeah, I'll stick with offense.
Yeah.
This one's hot.
I just saw the grin and I'm like, oh boy, I got to buckle up, dude.
Tim Lester is in the running for the Art Broyles Award and gets thrust into the next head coach talks after Kirk Ferentz. So that's already kind of been around, but, and this is a hot take. Again, this was just, we're coming up with stuff. I don't
This is not an endorsement of you, is what you're saying. You're projecting what the public's going to think by the end of the season.
Sure. I also don't necessarily. Okay, we'll just roll with it. We know Phil Parker just won the Broyles Award a couple years ago, as he should have. If Tim Lester makes this offense top 50, top 40, let alone like passing game top 50, he has to be in that conversation.
Passing game top 75, 80. I mean,
how bad the offense has been, and if the passing offense goes up, and like if Venami has that type of year, if Reese Vanderzee and Tony Diaz live up to the hype, Kamari Moulton's an every down back, the offensive line is among the best in the country again, which I think it will be, or at least it has a shot to be, at least the best in the Big Ten, amongst the best in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Then the conversation, especially from the national media, if Iowa's offense is impressive and wins them games, is Tim Lester's worked wonders with this offense. So therefore, puts himself into that conversation. And he's also like with Lester, I think the first thing you and I agreed on is his opening presser is like, dude, this is such a breath of fresh air. He's got the charisma, he's got the personality to win people over. And that's where that head coach conversation comes in too, because I think people listen to this interview like he just did with A&F and they're like, man, I love this guy. How can you not? And that's where the head coach conversation comes in addition to the performance on the field.
I would say if you're talking about Tim Lester's next head coach, just to be in the discussion, again, it's not an endorsement. We're throwing out names and what people would want, right? I would say that's probably a 4. If he lives up to I think people are going to be all over it, especially if they watch his interviews and Iowa's offense takes on a step forward. I'm not going to lie to you, dude. The Broyles one's about an 8.5, 9. Like, that is scorching. And a couple reasons behind that. Not that I don't believe in Tim Lester, because I do think Iowa takes another step forward, specifically in the passing game. And that's partially because Iowa's wide receivers are going to be better. And again, I'm buying stock. It might shoot me in the foot by the end of the year, but I'm going to buy stock. I just don't see if Iowa's defense is top 20 with all the turnover, top 15. I mean, I think you still have to nominate Phil Parker. Unless Iowa's offense gets in the top 40 or 50, but I'm not going to go that crazy at this point in time. But I hear what you're saying, because the offensive line, I give George Barnett immense credit for that and what he's been able to do. And I'll self-plug another one of our podcasts. I talked to Barnett for about 55 minutes or so, and his insight was incredible about his philosophy and the journey. And the craziest thing about it too, Eliot, is he said, the first time you really saw Iowa's offense turn around was in 2023. And that's when he kind of got really optimistic. And you think about that 2023 year, about who was quarterback and how bad that offense was, how bad it was. And he goes like, I saw some things where like nobody's going to see it on Saturdays, but they're building the right culture. They're building the right habits. And then you saw it take off. And so let me give you one more little tidbit, Eliot, from that interview. And this was very surprising to me. And this gives you a lot of respect for Kirk Ferentz's self-awareness. For a lack of better term, Kirk, in his interview with Barnett, flat out told him the offensive line was not going to be good for at least 2 years. And he goes like, this is going to be, I'm not going to lie to you, it's going to be a rough 2 years. When you're trying to sell the job to somebody, I give him a lot of respect for being that upfront about it. And also that should give Iowa fans like a lot of respect for Barnett, because Barnett flipped it back on Kirk apparently. And he said, or this is the best time for me to come in. And I was like, okay. Immediately, if I was Kirk, I'd be like, all right, that's the guy.
Yeah.
That's the guy, right? So again, you talk about the improved offensive line. You talk about a deep running back room. We don't know what is happening at quarterback, okay? I don't know. I really don't. We're gonna have to wait a little bit longer.
Kirk
But
Ferentz doesn't know.
That's why I keep telling people.
Tim Lester doesn't.
Like they have to know. I'm like, no. The other side of it too is why wouldn't you keep the competition going for as long as you possibly can? And not that you don't want to show confidence in one guy, but you want both guys to compete and you want both guys to elevate each other's game and push each other to the brink. If I'm Kirk, even if you don't tell a soul till game week.
And I wrote it yesterday, and at least for right now, what I think is that it goes into the season, the first 3 games.
Man, I just don't know if that would provide confidence in Iowa fans. It would be interesting.
Yeah, fair enough. I do think we see both, at least up until UNI. But I think, look, I mean, Iowa State's going to be bad. They're going to be really bad.
Yeah, I mean,
you're playing 2
everybody
G5.
talks about they talk about oh, they're going to be a 6-6 team. I'm like, based on what we have on paper, I don't know how you buy stock in that. And again, I don't know how good or bad Jimmy Rogers is going to be. But the other side of it too is he doesn't even know his own team yet, and that's fine because that's where they're at.
I like Jalen Rayner. I think he's a little too turnover prone, but he does have some dual threat ability, and you can get away with some things in the Big 12. I'm not a Jimmy Rogers guy. This job jumping thing, and South Dakota State fans have a really bad taste in their mouth from his time as the head coach because he was on his supposedly on his plane on the way to Wazoo, texting South Dakota State players to try to get him to come with, which that kind of happens. I don't know the timeline of it. Right, I don't know the timeline of it in terms of like if it was during the portal or not because. That wasn't so. I'm not like reporting anything as I'm saying that, but I'm just not really. When you're a job jumper, I'm not. It's going to be hard for me to buy stock. But anyway,
the last quick point I think it's worth bringing up before we get to our second take, Eliot, and I think it's important about your Tim Lester and the coordinator of the year. It's all going to come down to how the offense does against Michigan, Ohio State, Washington. If you have 3 eggs and you score 45 a game, the other 9 nobody cares.
Right.
I really hate that we have to emphasize that 3-week stretch, but that 3-week stretch literally makes the season.
Yeah.
And there are games Iowa can lose in the back half of the year, without question. But they go 0-3. Yeah.
I think they can put up a good performance against like an Illinois and garner some attention. But like Purdue, Northwestern, if you put up 45, like you said, if you put up 45 against those teams, woo, or Wisconsin, they've beaten the crap out of Wisconsin the last 2 years.
Wisconsin's going to be a team that is worse than their record indicates. Remember the other year when they were like 4-8, but everybody goes like, you look at that schedule, like they're better. This is going to be an 8-4 Wisconsin team that probably should be in all reality a 5-7 Wisconsin team.
Gives Luke Fickell another year, I'm sure. We'll see. I'm not a believer in Wisconsin either, but let's go with your second take.
It's one we've already talked about on this podcast, but I always keep coming back to it. Cam Buffington's going to be the second best defensive player on Iowa by the end of the season, if not a top 5 player on the team. Like I am all in on Cam Buffington. I think he is going to be tremendous. Obviously, you can't give him the first because I'm not. I mean, Zach Lutmer's a freak. You can't put Cam Buffington above him, right? But he has all the tools to be a great Iowa linebacker. He's athletic. He's big. He's a playmaker. He could pass cover a tight end. He's got the speed to be able to cover it in the slot for at least a short stint amount of time. And I think he can blitz the gaps. I think Iowa's defensive line is going to struggle. Again, they might have some pieces that can step up. I mean, I love Jose Epinesa. I'm very curious what happens with Kenneth Merriweather and if he can take a big step forward. But that's my number one concern on the team as a whole. So again, maybe not the hottest take, Eliot, but it might be for people who aren't all in on what we talk about on a weekly basis or our message board. But I love Cam Buffington. It took about 37 seconds of film from his freshman year in high school to be like, yeah, that dude's going to be a Big Ten football player. He's a freak.
I had said the thing about him being second best player by the end of the year as well. So I don't even know that that's a I don't even know that that's a hot take, Dave. I'm right there with you. I mean, like maybe Tyler Brown could be in that conversation. Maybe Deshaun Lee. Maybe Bryce Hawthorne. Maybe Kenneth Merriweather. Maybe somebody else takes a leap. But I probably am in the same boat. I mean, I am in the same boat. I think the thing for me is this defense is designed to funnel tackles to the Mike linebacker.
Correct.
Right? And with Cam, you've got the physical tools, the size, the athleticism that you want and that you need at that position. And Jaden Montgomery and Jaden Harrell just did not have that. I think Montgomery is probably going to be better at the will than he was at the Mike, though he was an improvement partway through the year last year. I think the thing where Cam could struggle would be like calling the defense, right? Just because he's young and he hasn't done it. Nope. But he did have the year under Jay Higgins, the year with Nick Jackson. So that'll be beneficial. But it'll be, I just think he's in a better situation to be successful because of his physical tools. So I would probably put that at like a 4.5, 4. I understand why some people would think it's a hot take, but I've been on this train as well. So I'm right there with you.
I think it's a hotter take for people who are not enamored with Iowa and not so much in the thick of it with Iowa, but because we've talked about it, I think it's lesser to us. So I was kind of catering toward like the public might see this as a hot take.
Sure.
Than you and me making it a hot take.
Sure.
All right. Hit me with your defense, man.
All 3 third-year linebackers are starting by the end of the year. That's Cam Buffington, Preston Reese, Derek Weiskopf. We said hot takes, Dave. We said hot takes.
Now I feel like I got to step up my game a little
bit. For me, Preston Reese, what he showed last year, he missed the spring. So there's that caveat, right? Landon Van Keekerix, Derek Weiskopf competing at that Leo spot. Alongside Reese. But Reese has just showed he's just controlled chaos on the football field, on special teams, and in the little bit that we've seen. And I mean, from his freshman year, we were hearing things like this guy he doesn't know what he's doing, but he makes the play, right, in practice. And another one of those guys who's quarterback turned defensive player that Phil Parker just works wonders with. And he is just a guy who, he's not great with the media. He's really tough with the media. It's really tough, but he will also
he's a football guy. Let's
take your freaking head off and will love every second of it. And those guys are just hard to keep off the football field, especially when you need a play. Weiskopf, another quarterback turned defensive player, played quarterback for the state champion Williamsburg. Eventually had to step in there because of an injury on his team, but was an All-American, an elite athlete for Williamsburg, led him to state, won state in high jump, was a place winner in high jump, shot put, and discus his senior year for Williamsburg. Probably didn't win high jump for a third year in a row because he had to do those other 3 things. And those are sketched like the throws, one of the throws, I'm not positive which, but one of the throws is scheduled on the same day as high jump because people don't cross over those events. So he had to do both on the same day, which is tough to do against the best competition in the state. So I think he's the type of athlete. And we saw in the spring docu-series, the 2 inside looks that we got into the spring is that Derek is playing confident. And Seth Wallace pointed that out for the film crew, for the linebacking group. And I think the one thing he said is it's just going to be the more they push, the more they learn. Those 3 are going to be hard to keep off the field. So Jane Montgomery might be a captain. But you know, when I say I mean, and Landon Van Keekerix is in his final year, and I know they love both of them. They like both of them. The staff does. But these guys might just be too good. It's like a Nathan McNeil last year. Might just be too good to keep off the field, even though they are a little bit younger and you've got some more experience.
I would say that's probably about 6. I think it's a good hot take, though. I would say this. Kirk Ferentz values a couple of things. He values equity, you earn it, right?
Yep.
He values loyalty, and he values team first guys who go about things the right way. And finally, he loves a high floor.
Yeah.
Jay Montgomery's a high floor guy.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody would argue about the fact that Preston Reese, Weisskopf, I'm not even going to throw Buffington there because Buffington, I think, is already going to be the starter, right?
Yeah, you could probably write that in pen. Damn
it. But the other guys have higher ceilings, without question. If Montgomery struggles this is going to lead into my next take too. If Montgomery struggles in Michigan, Ohio State, they will start somebody over him for Washington. I think it's a good hot take. Again, I don't want to dismiss Montgomery because he did show me some things, but at the same time, I'm very interested.
The other thing, you mentioned Washington, Ohio State, Michigan, all of those programs, at least somewhere, are going to have superior athletes to Iowa. Montgomery is small. Where he excelled last year was read and react because he's after the ball. And that's
a film room guy.
Exactly. Mixture of film, experience, confidence. You might lack confidence if you're one of these third-year guys playing against Ohio freaking State because you've seen them win a national. They're Ohio State, right? But you're running into superior athletes. Washington, Damon Williams is going to be really good. If Washington wins 10 or more games, he's probably going to be in the Heisman conversation. So are you leaning towards more superior athletes when you're playing against some of these teams? And I did say by the end of the year. I didn't say the whole year.
Correct.
So
this leads into a bonus hot take before I give you my final. Washington is the least winnable game in that 3-week stretch.
Okay.
I think Iowa beats Michigan. I don't buy stock into Michigan right away. I do think the Big House is going to be a very tough place, and Iowa's quarterback has to live up to that moment.
Yep.
And again, I think Kyle Whittingham's a really good guy. I think he's a really good coach. Michigan doesn't like really good coaches. They like elite coaches. Okay. I think there's a different pressure there. I'm of the belief that Iowa can play Ohio State close. I think talent and athleticism beat them in the second half.
Okay.
But this is not a situation where they go in there and they're down 28-0.
Okay.
It's not like, Iowa's got a more well-rounded team. I'm not saying Iowa beats. I'm not saying that because I'm not picking that. Okay.
Sure.
Washington's a Friday game after 2 games against Michigan and Ohio State with a potential Heisman. By the way, I still want to see Devin Williams and how he interacts with his team during the season after all that crap that he pulled at the end of last year. Right. I think that could play a thing that could be the downfall of that team. But at this moment in time, Washington is the least winnable game in that 3-game stretch.
The least winnable game.
Again, I'm not saying Iowa beats Ohio State.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that.
We're going for hot takes, so I would say that's pretty hot. I would say Ohio State is just because, they're bringing back Julian Sayin, like they're bringing back Jeremiah Smith, who asked Deshaun Lee. Jeremiah Smith's pretty freaking good. And then of course they've just got the best roster money can buy, right? So on top of just being Ohio State, like they're arguably, best program in college football history, one of the best. I probably agree with you about Michigan. I think Whittingham and Kirk Ferentz are kind of in that same echelon where they've been doing it a long time. High floor. I actually see that as probably a somewhat winnable game, just because it is a new staff. And I mean, Bryce Underwood could take a massive leap this year, but that some of the play as a freshman, Phil Parker might tee off on that guy and make it a really difficult day. Then again, you're talking about a defensive line that's not particularly great on our board. So I wrote an article about the best players Iowa is going to face in every week this year. And for Michigan, I listed John Henry Daly. That's what I was told as somebody who would be the best player. Somebody on our board said that Daly might not be healthy for the Iowa game as he's coming back from injury. I was not aware of that. I just went with what our Michigan guy told me, or what my Michigan guy told me. So I could be off, but if he's not healthy, that helps Iowa. That helps Iowa a lot if your best player on defense isn't ready to go. So I still think it's Ohio State that's the least winnable, but you make a good point. Short week against Washington. Also, I looked at Iowa's and Washington's schedule as to how this all shakes up. Washington is coming up, is going to be on a short week too, obviously, and they're going to be coming back from a road trip to USC. Excuse me.
I mean, how far of a road trip is that, though?
Well, Seattle to Southern California. I mean, it's something they've done before. What I'm getting at, it's not. Yeah. I mean, it's not like they're going to Rutgers, right? They're staying in the same time zone, that kind of thing.
Yes,
but it's still a road trip. It's still a road trip. It's still a short week. Granted, you'll be at home, so it's different. And Iowa's had their struggles on the West Coast.
That's part of why I said Washington too.
Yeah, I'd probably I'd give that a 6. Okay. Have you ever heard me make that noise before? I don't know if
no, I was not. I was wondering if I got you to bend a little bit.
Yeah, like 6.5, 7, just because of Ohio State is probably. Yep. And
again, I understand the counter argument. I really do.
And Michigan at the Big House, like all the caveats, that's still a tough place to play.
I know, isn't that insane though? That we're talking like, Michigan's the most winnable,
right?
At Michigan, like holy crap.
Yeah.
Again, it's not even a dig at Michigan. It just shows how brutal that 3-game stretch is. Like, it is one of the toughest 3-game stretches anybody will play in college football this season.
Yeah. Yeah.
Without question.
It is. It really is. All right.
Hit me.
This is for special teams. Iowa has another all Big Ten returner in Zach Lutmer.
Man, I mean, it's hard because I don't want to dismiss Zach Lutmer and what we've seen him do in the open field.
Yeah.
I get it. Now, are we talking first team? Or
no.
Any team?
Any team. Okay, not honorable mention.
Okay.
Say not honorable mention.
No, it's stupid.
Yeah.
Respectfully. I would agree.
Okay.
I mean, based on my intel right now, special teams is from 2 people is farther ahead than they thought they would be. But I would also pose the question, how far did you think they would be? It doesn't, and I'm not saying it's a good, they meant it as a good thing, but do you see my point?
Yeah.
It's like saying Iowa's quarterback play was better post 2023. The bar was at the ocean floor.
Yeah.
Right? That's kind of where I'm getting at. And the standard for Iowa special teams is absurd. And that's credit to now Michigan State assistant head coach LeVar Woods and what he's done. But I'll tell you, I walked away from that presser with Chris Polisi and I was like, I get it. I get why they hired it.
And seeing him mic'd up as a football guy. I am nervous about special teams. I think they'll be fine on punts in particular. I think whoever punts will be good. I lean more Philpott just because he has the experience. Boston Everett has never played a competitive football game. You throw him into Kinnick Stadium against Ohio State, and I mean, eyes will just be huge. I mean, let alone being in a different country.
How about the Big House?
Yeah, that too. So
because at least he's getting applauded when he's in Kinnick Stadium trotting on the field.
That's true. I think people are gonna be disappointed not disappointed. That's tough. I think they're going to be underwhelmed in the kicking game just because of the prowess of Drew Stevens. And like, you could tell when Drew kicked the ball that it was different than any other kicker, really. I mean, like, that's NFL kicker type power. And I don't think that's on the roster this year.
The noise it made.
Right.
It's just, I don't think I've ever heard it.
I think that they'll be fine, but it will not be to Iowa standard as far as kicking goes. When you look at returns, I mean, we saw what Lutmer did with the ball in his hands against Minnesota with that pick six. I obviously following the arguably, if not definitely, the greatest return man in Iowa history is going to be tough. That'll probably be a notch against him in terms of the media voting, just because it's not going to be up to, like, how the hell do you follow Caden Weegan, right? But if Lutmer returns 2 punts for touchdowns, like, he's going to be in the conversation. And I could very easily see that. Like, I just keep hearing the comp to Cooper DeJean. I just keep hearing it.
It's insane.
We just keep hearing it, for that matter. And if Coop was healthy through the whole year, man, and I just really feel like we got robbed in a ton of ways with Coops last year because of the Minnesota, what happened during the Minnesota game. And then, of course, the injury, him not playing on offense, which would have been, except for against Northwestern, and he would have continued to play on offense had he not gotten hurt, would have returned punts. I'm making myself sad. So like, he's a special player, man. I mean, we really did get robbed, and Iowa fans really got robbed. But if those comps are coming from a staff that does not like to make comparisons like that, it's going to be pretty easy for me to buy into something like that. Maybe not easy, especially following Weegan, but Lutmer, I think he's going to have a special year, and he is absolutely going to have a decision to make when the season's over. If I had to guess, he's NFL after this year, but he's going to have a decision one way or another.
Again, he's another guy that you can pay to stay. It all depends if he's a first-round pick or for a second-round pick. I mean, if he is a third-round pick, Iowa could probably match that for him to come back.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
True.
So, I mean, again, I think these new rules, and I know I was very wary about it just from an overall college football health standpoint and everything. These new rules actually help Iowa quite a bit.
By the way, Iowa has removed, like, the eligibility on the roster. It doesn't say sophomore. It doesn't say.
I saw that. It's first year, second year when you click into the players now.
Oh, I haven't even seen that yet.
I've been using just a stat check for my indispensable players. I've been clicking around on it.
Sure. Yeah, I've been clicking around on it too.
But well, I know the crazy thing is, though, too, and I was talking about this, like, you know, weird it's going to be to write first year, second year, third year, fourth year, and fifth year instead of freshman, sophomore, junior, senior.
Yeah.
Red shirt. Like, it's weird, but in all reality, this is something that Iowa really likes. I mean, this is something Kirk Ferentz has actually been saying for a long time. I mean, you have to get rid of waivers. Like, I get there are very special extenuating circumstances at times, but you got TJ Finley on 8 schools or whatever it was. Like, what are we doing?
Like, cut the crap.
And then Drew Ott's arm was falling off, but he couldn't get an extra. Whatever. I'm not gonna go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Eliot, to go back to your take 5.
Okay.
Look, it's more so not that I question Lutmer, and not even that I'm questioning Polisi. It's overhauling an entire freaking unit.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, this was fun. I had a good time with this.
Yeah.
I know some people, I mean, I'll probably have a lot hotter takes after we talk to the players in Chicago at the end of the month. But I'm very excited for this season. I think that it's a great mix. But I will say, covering the back half of Iowa, just from a fan base morale standpoint and running our message board, and I hate to put this in the air, but I have to say it. I wish Michigan, Ohio State, Washington was near the end of the year, because if they go 0-3, I'm wondering how many people are going to be all in on football still, especially with the fact that there's so much optimism about Ben McCollum and his team. And that's without mentioning Jan Jensen. And women's team's probably going to be a preseason top 10 too. And they're probably going to sell out again.
And I looked at the schedule for those like Sioux City games, Des Moines. That's right in the middle of football. So some people might be going to those instead of some football games. So if that transpires, and you mentioned the end of the year thing, Iowa plays November football, man. Like that's just what they are. Being a developmental team, that's what they are. And if you flip-flopped Michigan or Ohio State and Purdue or Northwestern, be feeling a lot better about this schedule.
That's why I told Bud Elliott too. I said Iowa is a team that peaks late in the year. Elliott, they have to peak in the first week of October. I mean, now there is a little bit of a grace period. And again, we can continue this on the podcast, but I want to make this point. There is so much pressure off of Iowa if they beat Michigan.
Yeah.
There is so much pressure off them, because if you go 0-2 in the next 2 weeks, at least you could, potentially win out the rest of the year. Because at this point, I'm sure it's going to change once we see some results on the field. But on paper, like, I'm not picking Minnesota to beat Iowa. I'm not picking Wisconsin to beat Iowa. I'm not picking Nebraska to beat Iowa. I'm not picking Purdue or Illinois. Illinois would be the closest one. But that's also November. That's also late November. I'm not,
Yeah, I think a lot of that is contingent on Caton Hauser and how he pans out for them. But
correct.
Yeah, because Illinois could be really good again. I don't know what their schedule looks like, but
yeah, I've talked to some people. They think they might take a little bit of a step back, but like their defense is always going to be physical. They're always going to be feisty. They're all, Brett Bielema, what's he wants to do? He wants to beat the team that he has tattooed on his leg.
Yeah.
And I think Brett Bielema is a really good coach.
Getting Matthew Bailey back was a huge win for them at safety. 76 tackles, I think, last year at safety is pretty impressive. So, guys, on Twitter, on our message board, here on YouTube, drop your hottest take for Iowa's 2026 football season. Somebody's already being sarcastic in the comments saying Iowa's going 8-4 again. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about your hot takes. Tim Lester, Broyles Award, that type of thing. That was the highest one we got. 8.
I think so. I said about 8.5.
So
what'd you give mine? 7? No, you said mine is 8 for the Michigan.
I said 6.5, 7. Yeah.
Oh, for that one? Okay. Well, Venami. Gosh dang it. I was hoping we could make it through the podcast before you did that crap.
Yeah, you did that to me so much over the last year.
I have. I really have. Yeah,
okay.
That's true.
So, yes, drop your hot takes here on YouTube. Drop a like, drop a comment. Let us know what you're thinking. Rate
HawkeyeInsider.com.
Yes, do so. Join us. 50% off our VIP content, and we are still rolling with it through the summer. That is the best way to get Hawkeye content, even in the off season. So join us over there. For David Eickholt, I am Eliot Clough. This was SwarmCast.